Hello, you two. I hope you're all right. I just thought I would read a bit more Carnival Caper, Hotel Flamingo, because I have done it for quite a while. So we are on chapter 9 now. I'm just thinking what's happened since. So the nocturnal animals arrived at the hotel, and Lemmy is a humongous fan, and also Madame Le Pig is a humongous fan. Who saw that coming? I thought she was going to be really cross when she had to cook their dinner, but she didn't. And she wasn't, was she? And there was also Wilbur, do you remember the dog? Who was very tatty, and Hilary Hippo made him all nice and clean again. So now we're on chapter 9, and it's called The Riotous Rehearsal. Okay, right, try and read it this way. Anna was lying in bed when a loud knocking broke her sleep. Miss Anna, said Lemmy, I'm so sorry, but I could do with some help. It wasn't like Lemmy to bother her at night. Anna rubbed her eyes, threw on her dressing gown and opened the door. What's wrong? She asked. It's the band, miss, he said. They're rehearsing. What time is it? 3 in the morning, said Lemmy. They've woken up nearly 4 floors. I've got 2 sad llamas, 3 honking baby geese, and Mrs. Turpington is in tears. Oh, that's the last thing we need, said Anna, steeling herself. Right, let's go and have a word. Anna walked into the lobby and could hear the thumping of drums and the screeching of wild, distorted guitars coming from the upper floors. I thought they wanted to keep their stay a secret, said Anna. Everyone's going to know about them after this. Eva was consoling Mrs. Turpington with a nice dandelion tea. The ageing tortoise shook her head. Is this what they call music these days? She said to Anna. You can't dance to this. I'm sorry, said Anna. It'll be quiet soon. I'll see to it. She took a deep breath and rode the lift to the 5th floor. Blearing-eyed, guests poked their heads out of their doors as she passed. The music pounding out of the band's room was loud, angry, yet quite incredible, and with her fist firmly clenched, she banged on the door. Can you turn it down, please? Shouted Anna. The music continued, and she banged again. Mr. Sweet, will you open the door? A second or two passed before the music cut out. Anna's heart started to race. The door opened, and Mr. Sweet's snarling face appeared before her. What? He snapped. You cannot play music at this time of night, said Anna. You've woken all of our guests up. We rehearse at night, snarled Mr. Sweet. That's when we're awake. Deal with it. Oh, not very nice, is he? He slammed the door. The music started again. Anna stood silently for a moment, allowing her anger a chance to come off the boil. Nobody, not even a terrifying honey badger, could talk to her like that and get away with it. She banged at the door once more. The music stopped, and again Mr. Sweet opened the door. What is it this time? He snarled. Faced with the terrifying creature, her voice seemed to stop working. She coughed and forced out the words, In my office, now! Mr. Sweet laughed. Are you threatening me, miss? He bared his sharp teeth. In my office now, repeated Anna, finding her strength. I will not be spoken to like this in my hotel. And with that she turned and ventured back downstairs. Her heart was pounding, but she was feeling stronger for confronting Mr. Sweet. By the time Anna had reached the office, most of the staff were awake and placating upset guests. Even Jojo, who was better equipped to deal with swimmers than sad skunks, was doing her best to calm everyone down. T-Bear was at the front desk looking ready for action. Want me to deal with Mr. Sweet, miss? He asked, rubbing his paws together. I don't mind. I think I have things under control, said Anna. But I'd love to have you as backup. Always, miss, said Mr. T-Bear. When Mr. Sweet arrived, Anna was sitting at her desk with T-Bear looming tall behind her. How dare you talk to me like that, barked Mr. Sweet, his claws pointing menacingly at Anna. You do realise how powerful I am? Sir, said Anna, you can act as strong and mean as you like, but this is my hotel. I deserve respect, as do all our other guests.
I manage the biggest band in the world, he replied. You manage this pokey hotel. I should take my stars elsewhere.
You could try, but there will be no spare rooms available at the Glitz, said Anna. Not in Carnival Week. Mr. Sweet seemed taken aback. Anna wondered if he wasn't used to having people question him. There was a knock on the office door. It opened and Susie walked in, her guitar strapped over her back. Hey man, she said calmly to Mr. Sweet, what's all this fuss? Stay out of this, said Mr. Sweet. I've got it under control. This little hotel thinks it can mess us about. No way, man, said Susie. That's not the way I see it. That Lima dude, he's just telling me we woke the whole place up. Who wants that on their mind, man? We can practice somewhere else. Mr. Sweet growled angrily. That Lima spoke to you, he said. Yeah, dude, said Susie. Mr. Sweet turned to Anna. I told you there was no speaking to my band. No wonder everyone's treating us weird, man, said Susie. Dude, chill out. You know I could ruin you in a heartbeat, Mr. Sweet barked in a rage. He stomped out of the room, leaving Susie with Anna and T-Bear. That guy's out of order, said Susie. Hey, I'm sorry. Anna smiled, happy that Susie was actually a nice fox. And in that moment, Anna had a brilliant idea. I've got the perfect practice room, if that's what you want, she said. And it's so far from the guests you won't bother a soul. Yeah, man, she said, nodding in a military way. That would be awesome. Mr. Sweet won't mind, asked Anna. He won't have a choice, said Susie. I've had enough of this negative energy anyway. Okay then, said Anna. Anna asked T-Bear to help the band move all their equipment into the ballroom, and she walked out into the lobby to find Lemmy totally entranced. His cheeks were pink. She spoke to me, he stuttered, staring off into space. Susie spoke to me. Look at that picture of Lemmy there. Chapter 10. The bus stop. T-Bear waited in the ballroom as the band tuned their instruments and tightened their drum skins. Angie Wax looped her bass guitar over her back and sat back in a stink. T-Bear could tell she was feeling down. Something wasn't right within the band. Can I get you anything? Asked T-Bear, trying to be helpful. Angie shook her head, her sharp fringe wobbling across her face. Right, shouted Mr. Sweet, marching into the ballroom. Band meeting now. Dude, said Susie, we need to practice. Do as I tell you, threatened Mr. Sweet. I am your manager. T-Bear shrank back against the ballroom wall so as not to be seen. There were very few people T-Bear didn't like, but he'd quickly realised Mr. Sweet was one of them. Susie put her guitar down and crossed her arms. No, she said. You're not the boss of me. Cool Bananas hammered his sticks onto a tom-tom. Not me, he said. I think you'll find I am, growled Mr. Sweet. Without me, you're nothing. Cool leant forwards, pointing his sticks at Mr. Sweet. Without us, you're nothing, he said. Oh, is that so? Said Mr. Sweet. And what have you got to say about this, Angie? Angie snarled and threw her bass guitar to the floor. Like I thought, said Mr. Sweet. Nothing. So this is it then? If that's how you want it, dude, said Susie. You've got a bad thing going on. It's bringing me, heck, it's bringing all of us down. An angry honey badger is a terrifying sight. Mr. Sweet looked as though he was about to explode. Then we are done, he snarled. And so is the band, and I'm taking the roadies with me. Good luck being a bunch of nothings for the rest of your miserable lives. Mr. Sweet powered out of the ballroom, throwing a chair against a wall as he went. T-Bear stepped out of the shadows. Sorry you had to see that dude, said Susie. He is just one big bad vibe. I've seen his type before, said Mr. T-Bear, knowing he wasn't much different to Mr. Ruffian of the Glitz. You're better off without him. Angie Wax nodded in agreement. And T-Bear was certain he caught a glimpse of a smile on her face. She picked up her bass guitar and checked it over. I hope so, dude, said Susie. This is the biggest gig of our lives coming up. I guess we'll have to wait and see, yeah? Cool Bananas tapped a 2/4 beat on his drum, and just like that, just like magic, the band powered up and blasted out the most ferocious, loud, and brilliant tune T-Bear had ever heard. There we go. I'll read chapter 11 because 10 was quite short. Chapter 11, Demolition Day. There's a nice picture here. I love how it's illustrated. The next day, Anna battled to keep her eyes open. "All these night shifts are taking their toll," she said. Lemmy was used to working the front desk at night, so he was also used to feeling tired. "Power naps. That's how I cope," he said. He pulled his hat slightly over his eyes and leant forwards into the desk. "Like this, no one ever knows." Anna smiled knowingly. "Quite brilliant," she replied. The lobby was bustling with guests, but everyone seemed quiet and tired after being woken during the night. To apologise, Anna had decided that all teas and coffees would be free for the day. That met with some cheer, particularly from Mrs. and Mrs. Cunkworth, who were enjoying an early morning nightcap before bed. "Morning," squawked Mac Macaw, dancing from one leg to the other. "Any chance of another coffee?" Anna wondered if he'd already had a few, judging by how fidgety he was. Still, the customer is always right, she thought. "I'll get you one now," she said. As she left the desk, she was halted by the ominous sound of banging on the wall behind her. "Wow," said Mac, "you've got some big woodpeckers staying here." "We don't have any woodpeckers staying here," she said. Lemmy had set off to investigate. He touched the walls, moving along, as he tried to find the source of the noise. The banging continued, and he held his paw to a patch of wall near a bookcase. It shook with each thump. "The noise is coming from behind here," he said. "What is that?" asked Anna. "Giant moles?" said Mac excitedly. "It's getting stronger," said Lemmy, stepping away. "And louder," said Anna. A rip suddenly shot through the wallpaper from floor to ceiling. "Get back!" cried Anna. Lemmy screamed and leapt backwards as lumps of brick and plaster fell from the wall. A dark and dusty hole appeared. The banging stopped, and Mac clutched Anna's arm with fear. Lemmy looked at Anna. Anna looked at Mac. Then they all stared back at the dusty hole. Stella's head poked through. "Morning," she said, blinking in the light. What's Stella been up to? Mac howled with laughter while Anna breathed a huge sigh of relief. "What have you done to the wall?" asked Lemmy. "It's not a wall, it's actually a doorway," said Stella, "and that's the first item ticked off my list. Watch out!" She disappeared again, only for more of the wall to crumble and tumble out into the lobby. Before long there was a proper doorway. It was dirty and needed a bit of tidying, but the once glamorous entrance to the ballroom was now open. "How's that?" Stella asked. "Brilliant, though Hilary won't be happy with the mess," said Anna. "No pain, no gain," said Stella. Mac's wing crept over his beak. "Oh no," he said. "What now?" said Anna. "The smell's back," he said. Anna turned to see Mrs. Cunkworth leading her husband out of the lobby. The shock of the wall disappearing had been too much for him. "Hilary!" shouted Anna. "I need you!" And we'll leave it at that. That was cool, wasn't it? I'm excited to see what happens next.